Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of Shed the Debt. We are going to be talking about the financial landscape, how to get rid of debt, the interest rate environment, and how it feels to be in debt, so much more. So this is our first podcast, and I'm joined by Richard Goldhar. He's a licensed insolvency trustee, and we're going to talk about the financial landscape. So let's kick it off with that. What are you seeing out there?
I see it being a bit of a difficult time at the moment. I see with our consumer practice, which is individuals that live here in Canada, that they're having a hard time paying their bills. They're having a hard time living. Costs of living are high. Salaries are not going up in respect to what their cost of living is going up. So
salaries have gone higher, but not at the same pace as inflation, even though inflation is still down. Go to the grocery store. It's still higher by 2.7%.
Absolutely. It's a really trying time for these individuals. And I feel very saddened when I have to hear the heart-wrenching stories and how they're trying to live and how they're working 2 and 3 jobs to try to make ends meet, when in the past they were able to work a single job and have some family quality time.
So if that's the case, I've often used a term, a financial day of reckoning. And when I look at the employment data, no one worries about losing their job until they lose their job. And is that where you're starting to see the uptick in people saying, I can't do this anymore?
I see people having issues all the time. Some when they're currently working, and others, obviously, when they lose their job. The losing their job component, I find, hurts the most in the sense that their credit cards can no longer get paid on the minimum monthly payment, which, although is not a great way to manage your finances, at least they weren't getting harassing creditor calls.
It's okay to just make the minimum payment if you're doing that for a period of time, not forever.
That's correct. You know, if there's a life-changing event that you just need to put some food on the table and deal with the life-changing event, it happens.
Yeah.
The speed bumps in the road, and that's what people have to live with. And then they pay it off over time, and they get back on their way.
In a perfect world. The problem is it's not a perfect world. Now, when I look at bankruptcies, and there are reports that come out on a monthly basis, we're not seeing a big uptick. Is that because we're on the cusp of a tipping point, or why is it?
So I would say, in general, people who use the word bankruptcy, and today, more people are doing consumer proposals.
Right.
So the statistics are showing a very high increase in consumer proposals, but people are used to the word bankruptcy, and so since those are not going up, they're saying, oh, bankruptcies are not going up, where they should be using the word insolvency filings, and those are dramatically increased.
Okay, so let's talk about 2 things. Let's go back to a consumer proposal. What is it?
A consumer proposal is the consolidation of your debt, one payment, payable over a maximum of 60 months at no interest to the creditors. You're just simply repaying a percentage of what you owe the creditors.
And if someone has a ton of debt and they can't make their payments, you cannot do a consumer proposal unless you deal with someone like yourself. And it's just a fact. You have to be a licensed insolvency trustee.
Yes, the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy has only issued licenses to licensed insolvency trustees.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Who can file consumer proposals.
Okay, let's talk about the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy, because it's a big name. I think it's a powerful force, but I can tell you, in my line of work, I like the fact that there is always going to be, hopefully, a regulatory body that protects the consumer, not someone like you.
Absolutely. The superintendent, her first mandate is to always look out to the debtors.
And how do they do that?
So they're always investigating the licensed insolvency trustees, and they're always ensuring compliance with the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act, their directives, their position papers. They're constantly regulating us on every single filing that goes through.
So what does that mean to the end consumer?
So that means that somebody, a third party, an impartial individual, is watching to make sure that creditors are in line, that the courts are in line, that the licensed insolvency trustees are in line. They're making sure the whole gamut are in line and upholding the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act.
Now, I said there were 2 areas that I wanted to address. One was the consumer proposal, but the other is, what does it mean to be insolvent if you're not bankrupt?
So insolvent is just a term in the Webster's dictionary. It says
Okay.
you have more liabilities than you do assets.
And it's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
When someone comes to you with a lot of debt, they use one credit card to pay off another. They're not making the minimum. They're not picking up the phone. There's a lot of shame and guilt that they have done something wrong. Have they?
I find most people have done nothing wrong. Most people comply with the terms of the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act that say in order to be insolvent, by their definition, they have not been able to pay their bills as they've ordinarily come due. They have more than $1,000 worth of debt, and that they wish to access the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act to discharge their debt. And I find most individuals just like that. They're honest, they're unfortunate, a situation has happened, and they just needed a little boost to get themselves back on their way.
We're talking about individuals, but what about corporations?
Corporations are finding it difficult at this time too. Small businesses are typically the hardest hit right now. They are coming to us all the time. They had CEBA loans, they had government grants, they had all sorts of help over the COVID period. Now, a lot of the government agencies are auditing and saying that they didn't qualify when they thought they did, as they were honest people. And now they're being asked to repay all that debt. Plus, their sales are down, profit margins are thinner, costs are higher, salaries are higher, as you alluded to at the beginning of this conversation. They just can't make it work anymore. And we're here to help them to either file a bankruptcy or file a restructuring of a proposal or a court-appointed receivership if that's required.
If you find yourself in that situation and you go through this process, is it a continuing operation for the small business owner or corporation?
So it really depends on the type of insolvency proceeding you filed. If you do a proposal, then you absolutely continue operating just in the ordinary course with just supervision and requirements under the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act to comply with. If you do a bankruptcy, that will require you to cease operations until we either get creditor approval, court approval, to allow the operation to continue to operate.
I think in the interest of disclosure, I am going to tell everyone that you've agreed to sponsor this podcast, but we're going to be talking about many, many things. And I say that because one of the reasons I was keen on working with you on something like this is one of the very first things you said to me. You believed in second chances, and that when someone hits a financial speed bump, a detour, there is an opportunity for have a financial second chance, so to speak.
Absolutely. It's in my blood. It's in my heart. I believe everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves the opportunity to show their true potential. And sometimes it's not in round one. Sometimes it's not in round two. But I always say lucky round three, everyone gets going.
You mean someone could actually go through this proposal more than once?
Absolutely.
And you see it?
I see it all the time.
Wow. Okay, so what I'm taking away from this is there is life after insolvency.
Yeah.
There are opportunities. If I give you an opportunity to leave a message with everyone, what would that be?
The message I would leave is it's never too early to come and seek some professional advice from a licensed insolvency trustee. We are just like calling your lawyer. We're just like calling your accountant or your religious leader. We should be on the same Rolodex. You call us as soon as you see yourself or your company having some issues.
Can people afford it?
Everyone can afford it.
Maybe can't afford not to.
That's the truth.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a thought. I wrote this down from Maya Angelou, and you can comment on it. You do the best you can until you know better. When you know better, you do better. And I say that because part of this whole process is it's not just going through a consumer proposal or an insolvency. There is actual training and education on personal finance. So maybe there isn't a second time. There might be, but maybe there won't be.
Absolutely. You know what? I always say to people, if you can figure it out the first time, that's great. If it takes you 2 times, that's totally fine. We just want to see you live a happy, healthy, prosperous life.
Yeah. And when you get your financial, balance sheet in order, you can do the things that give yourself more meaning. Richard, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Patty, for having me.
Thank you for the sponsorship. We'll see you next time on Shed the Debt.